I just had a couple questions.
Sure.
First, it's about basically about atheism itself. Um, I was wondering, basically, how can you be an atheist if God doesn't exist?
I don't get it.
I
How
mean,
can I be an atheist if God doesn't exist?
yeah. How
Well,
can
if he
somebody
doesn't,
be?
then
How can
everybody's.
somebody be an atheist if God doesn't exist?
I don't know what that means.
I mean, the atheist. I mean, I'm looking at the definition in the atheist. It's about God. I mean,
It's about not
how,
God
how
though.
how can you be an atheist if God doesn't exist? I'm just curious. That's all. This is a question.
How can you not believe in the existence of God? Like, do you believe in aliens?
But your lack of belief really doesn't matter. You got a lot of people have a lack of belief in a lot of things. Like you have people have a lack of belief that the Earth is round, but that don't change the truth of what the Earth is. And so my only point is, if your whole identity is uh, about God, I mean, you don't see
But it's not my
you don't
identity.
see anti Santa Clauses or anti
Anti
tooth
Santa Clauses.
fairies. You
I
only see. I mean, you define yourself by God. I mean, how can you
no.
exist if
No.
God doesn't
It's
exist as an atheist?
it's
That's
it's
just
kind
my
of
question.
the opposite of that. I don't go to church. I don't believe in those things. I You can't go around not doing things, right?
But
So it's not part of my life.
yeah,
It
it
I
is
mean it
part of
just
your
simply
life. If you
isn't.
talk about it, I mean, if you talk about it, how can it not be part of your identity and part of your life when you
Because it's
identify
not a
yourself
thing.
as an atheist?
Well,
How
because
can you be?
it's not a
And how can you
thing.
be an atheist if God doesn't exist?
Well,
It makes no sense. Your whole atheism is defined by the existence of God. Whether you have a lack of belief or not, that doesn't matter. You can have, like I said, lack of belief in all sorts of things, but that doesn't change the truth. What the truth is, and the truth is, you couldn't you couldn't be an atheist without the existence of God. How can that be
no you
possible?
can't. If
How can that be
nobody
possible?
if we if nobody had ever come up with any of the religions that people
Hmm.
believe
Hmm.
here on
Hmm.
earth, then everybody would be atheists, and
Hmm.
it wouldn't have anything to do with whether or not God exists. It's just what I
Prove that
don't
to me.
happen to believe in.
Prove to me that they could be atheists without God existence, without the existence of God. Where's the evidence for that?
What? How are those two things related?
You said there's
Do you believe
evidence.
in
Where is there
unicorns?
evidence that you can have something called an atheist if God doesn't exist?
Yeah. Do you believe in unicorns?
You don't see anti-unicornist. You see atheists who talk
You are
about God.
well.
You show me the people.
Do you
Show me the
believe
group
in
of people.
unicorns? Yes or no?
Hold up. Show me the group of people who don't believe in you, who on here talking about unicorns every day.
Well, it doesn't matter if they go around talking about it. It
Sure,
just
it
matters
does.
if they believe it. I'm pretty sure you and me are a group of people that don't believe in unicorns.
Yeah, but who is on here every day debating the existence of unicorns?
I
Who
mean,
on here every
there
day?
might be one guy. I don't
Who's on
know.
here every day debating the existence of the Jolly Green Giant? That those things are
I
red
hope nobody.
herrings.
But
Those
that's
things are
not the
red
point.
herrings.
You said if we have people that don't believe in it, then that means it must exist, or you can't have them without them. You and I
You
don't believe in
can,
unicorns, but that doesn't mean that
but
unicorns exist.
we're not talking about unicorn. We're talking about atheists specifically who have
We're talking
a
about what it
specific
means to not
definition.
believe in
Hold up,
something.
atheist. Let's read the definition for atheist.
A person who disbelieves or lacks belief in the existence of God or gods.
That's the definition. And what was that word? Was unicorns in there?
Okay, so are you a
Hold up. I'm asking you, was unicorns in there?
I
Was the Jolly
No,
Green
it's not.
was the Jolly
But
Green
that's not
Giant in
the
that definition?
Okay,
Was
we'll just stick with
was,
gods then. So you are
okay,
a
well,
polytheist.
you cannot believe, you cannot exist if God doesn't exist. Plain and
That's
simple.
not true. So
You can't.
are you
How?
this means that you're a polytheist. This means you believe in
No.
every god because you can't not believe in those gods unless they
No.
exist.
I just believe in God, and I believe in the one true God. But that's my religion. We talking about
There are
we talking about what
thousands of
defines.
religions.
Hold up. We
Some of
talking
them
about
are
what. Hold up.
polytheistic.
We're talking about what defines an atheist. An atheist cannot exist unless God exists.
No,
Period.
atheism isn't a thing.
An atheist is defined by the existence of God. Now let me go on to the next question. The next question I have is about evolution. I just want to make sure that we all, because I hear people debating evolution over and over and over again, and I want to strictly define what evolution is and what evolution is not. Evolution says nothing about the origin of life, nothing about the
Correct.
origin of information, nothing about the origin of the genetic code, nothing about how genetic code got sequenced with information, nothing about why valine is encoded with 4 different codons, nothing about transcription, nothing about translation, nothing about start codons, nothing about stop codons,
Nothing
nothing
about
about how
cheeseburgers.
nothing about how the gene sequence reaches the polypeptide chain and folds into a protein. Evolution is what common descent and modifications through natural selection. How the traits spread throughout the environment once they reach the environment. So all of that has nothing to do with evolution. Nothing. It's just about how traits spread throughout the environment via reproduction. That's what it is.
Sure.
That what and that's supposed to be that alone is supposed to be this sort of rock solid rock. It's a rock solid, but it explains nothing except for
What do
after.
you mean? It explains literally
No, it
all of
don't.
life on our planet.
Think about how all of that stuff I just mentioned it determines what reaches the environment. All of that stuff I just mentioned determines what reaches. Evolution doesn't determine what reaches the
Those things that you
environment.
just okay,
Hold up. Does evolution
but you
determine
talked
what
for
reaches?
so long.
Does evolution determine what reaches the environment?
Does evolution deter? No, evolution is a description of the natural world.
That's my. I rest my case.
What you
What,
do? What?
look. Personally,
Can I ask you a question? Because like you talked for a really long time.
Okay, go ahead.
All those things you mentioned, the information, the valine, the codons, whatever, none of those things say anything about the laws of physics, right? And the laws of physics are what are responsible for every single thing that happens. So all that stuff that you mentioned is meaningless.
No.
It can't describe anything. See, I can do this too.
What you mean is meaningless? Information
It's
is
meaningless.
meaningless.
Yeah, but it doesn't describe how the atoms and molecules themselves
20
got
amino
there
acids,
and got into
the
motion.
genetic
So
code.
therefore it's meaningless.
It is not meaning. It explains what reaches the environment. You just said evolution can't explain what reaches the environment. Well, what good is it?
What do you mean what good is it?
What good? Let me ask you a question. Who's the common ancestor?
Of us?
Yeah. Of
us and what? You have to compare us to something.
From us and chimps, who's the common ancestor?
We don't know what it is yet.
What species?
What species? Well, we would be the ones that determine what its name is, but we haven't found a physical specimen of it yet.
Yeah. How many generations between common ancestor in humans and common ancestor in chimps?
We don't know.
I mean, you telling me this is rock solid theory, but all I get is I don't knows and who and which way did he goes. I mean,
Newton had no idea why the Earth orbited the sun, but he did figure out a mathematical way to describe it pretty much perfectly.
I tell you what I think is a rock solid theory. It's quantum field theory where it matches predictions to like 12 decimal places or some things. In evolution, all I get from you guys is I don't know. We don't know. I don't know.
There are a lot of things we do know. You're asking questions for things that we don't know. There's a bottomless pit of questions that we do have answers for that you could ask, but you don't ask those questions.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Why do we have? If you look at it's a gorilla and humans share 15% of DNA, and chimps and humans share 15% a day. That's not
way
shared
higher
by
than
even
15.
chimps and humans. I'm talking about that's not shared. That's closer between chimps and humans, and closer between gorillas and humans, and closer between chimps and gorillas. That's not shared by chimps. So why is that?
I'm sorry, but I didn't understand the question.
I'm saying that you said it's a common ancestor, but we share 15% of our closer. It's 15% of our DNA that's closer between gorillas and humans than with chimps. So did that just bypass the common ancestor? I'm just curious.
I've never heard. I'm still not 100% sure what you're saying. But I've never. We're clearly more closely related to chimps than gorillas genetically, and they're more closely related to us than gorillas too.
Well, why do we need a common ancestor when we could just have the genetic code and say the phylum, the body plan that we've come from?
Why do we need a common ancestor? Because
we're all part of Kodak body plan. You know the Kodak body plan. Why can't we just have the genetic code acting on the body plan of that we're included in to give you all the diversity of species? Why do you need a common ancestor when you don't know who it is?
You don't need
what
a common
it is,
ancestor. That's just the consequence of what happens when you get monkeys together banging their genitals together over millions of years.
But if you don't know who it is, what it is, or is it a hobbit? I mean, what is it? Does it come from Middle Earth?
For humans and chimps, we don't know. We know our more immediate ancestor, which is Homo habilis. Homo erectus.
Homo this. Yeah, okay. Which way did it go? Which way did it go? We don't know. That's all I get from evolution.
What does that mean?
That's all I get from evolutionists. Let me ask you one more question. I want to keep. I thought I would get some answers, but okay. Let me ask you one more question about. Now I'm curious because a lot of times atheists, they talk about science this and science that, and science like science somehow supports that atheism. Science this, science that.
What?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, science in principle can't support a supernatural claim.
Sure it can.
No.
Sure it can.
No.
Hold up. Define supernatural? What's supernatural?
Something that is outside of the laws of nature. Like the five.
Okay.
The basic axioms of science. One of the basic axioms of science is that the supernatural realm does not exist.
No. Whoever said that? Where? Show me.
You couldn't. We couldn't do science if we.
Give me the published paper that says that.
Okay. The published paper. This is literally the way people think. We don't have published papers.
Give me the published paper.
I cannot, Angel. I couldn't find you a published paper that describes, like the way we're supposed to use verbs. I couldn't find you a peer-reviewed paper on that because that's just known information.
But you're making a claim that the science says the supernatural doesn't exist. But where?
No, I didn't say it claims it doesn't exist. If I did say that, then that's not. Then that's probably not the way I meant to say it. But science does not assume that there is a supernatural realm because science assumes that.
Where? Who? You keep saying this science like it's one individual. Who is this one individual named Science that's saying all this?
There isn't, but collectively, this is how.
Well, you can't say that.
Why don't I ever get to talk? So, there are some things like, the Constitution of the United States that was drafted mostly by one person, but the Bill of Rights wasn't. That was drafted by 3 different individuals. But collectively, everybody comes around those ideas and then says, yes, this is the way we choose to do things. And science wasn't invented by, one person or anything like that. But like the fundamental, I guess we could say like axioms or whatever, not axioms, but like the assumptions of science are that we live in a universe that is governed by natural laws. and the universe is intelligible because those natural laws operate according to like fixed principles that don't just randomly change. Okay, and then the third one would be the natural world is the only one that exists, and supernatural claims cannot be considered scientific. There are a few others, but basically, if you propose an explanation that a supernatural entity created a bunch of miracles, then that would violate the first two things. Because if there are miracles happening, if a miracle is the reason why there was a tsunami, then we can't know how those things occur because it's miraculous by definition. If Jesus touched somebody and cured their leprosy, there's no way to medically explain what happened. It's impossible.
First off, I haven't read any axioms from any scientist that says there's no supernatural. Nothing. No paper, nothing in nature, nothing in art.
Because they don't have to.
Nowhere. Because it makes no sense. Because
it wouldn't make sense for them to do that.
First and foremost,
there aren't any scientific papers that go around saying that.
Hold up. When there's no supernatural, when there's no what do you mean when you say there's no supernatural? Everything included in what our knowledge is supernatural, or are there things outside of our knowledge that's not natural to us?
Are there things outside?
So are there things outside of our knowledge that's not natural to us? You heard of Godel's.
There aren't any things that have ever been demonstrated to have definitely been supernatural. There are things we don't know.
What's dark energy?
You ask me questions and then I start to answer them, and then you start talking.
Is dark energy natural or supernatural?
There's no reason to think that it is supernatural.
Tell me what's it made of? What's it made of?
We don't know, but that doesn't make it supernatural.
You said everything we know is natural. If it's natural, if dark energy is natural, explain to me exactly what's it made of in nature that we know of.
We don't know yet, but that doesn't.
How can you claim it's natural?
You don't know. It's
Angel. Nobody.
You have no clue. How can you say it's natural? You don't know what it is.
Because it's way more likely that it's not supernatural. Why? Because we have no evidence of anything supernatural existing or ever occurring. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before. Before Benjamin Franklin, people thought lightning was a supernatural phenomenon. They didn't have an actual explanation for what it is, but then eventually we did. So lightning was never supernatural. It never was. We didn't know what it was, and now we do. But you couldn't. It doesn't make any sense to claim that it therefore is supernatural.
Let me ask you a question. When Einstein said. When Einstein said, and even Stephen Hawking said it, when Einstein said the distinction between past, present, and future.
Einstein was an atheist.
Let me ask you, when he said the distinction between past, present, and future is a persistent illusion, and Stephen Hawking said imaginary time is more real than the time that we experience, and what we call real time should actually be an illusion. Why? Tell me exactly what is outside of our perception of time, since it's an illusion. Both Stephen Hawking and Einstein tell us that our perception of time is an illusion.
They're talking about time.
That doesn't mean that it's God going.
Let me finish my question. We are stuck in 3 dimensions of space, 1 dimension of time, and 1 frame of reference. Outside of our moment-to-moment experience of time, there exists a 4-dimensional space-time where all of time exists. Now, tell me this: what you said is not supernatural? Then what is it? What is it exactly?
Time dilation. Is that what you're talking about?
What is it?
I don't know, but saying I don't know is not making a claim. If you're claiming it's supernatural, then you need to back that up. But so far, the only way you've backed anything up is to ask me if I know, and I say I don't know.
Of course, the supernatural. It's outside of 3 dimensions of space.
That's not supernatural.
Time. Why is it supernatural?
Okay, Angel, you wanted a paper.
Why isn't it?
Hold on. Here's your paper. Okay, this is from the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Supernatural entities, by definition, operate outside of natural laws, so cannot be investigated using scientific methods. Do you need the page? It's page 12.
And that's exactly what I said. How is they?
So
hold
you
up,
agree?
hold up. Tell me, Glow Man. Tell me what is dark energy?
It's the supposed energy that is causing the expansion
what
of
is
the
it
universe.
made of?
Nobody knows. We don't have any empirical
energy
evidence.
It's
isn't made
outside of
of
nature's
things.
laws. What are you talking
I
about?
just answered your question.
It's outside of nature's laws. You're talking
No, it's
ridiculous.
not. Before we knew how lightning worked.
Hold up. It's outside of nature. What is the quantum field made of?
Why is that relevant at all?
Dark
to the question
energy
you just
is
asked?
not outside of the laws of nature. We just don't know what it is yet.
Hold up. What are invisible quantum fields made of?
Relevant.
I don't know. I doubt you know. Maybe they don't even exist.
What are dimensionless? Hold up. What are dimensionless? Where do dimensionless constants of nature come from? Like the fine structure constant.
Oh no, you tell me.
I have no idea.
I mean, you are the one that's saying everything can be explained by the natural. I'm asking you, just give me a bunch of I don't know.
In principle, it could. I never claimed omniscience.
Let me ask you a question again. Is the universe a hologram?
I really doubt it.
Well,
and we've talked about that paper, and that paper is speaking by way of analogy. I do not want to talk about that again.
Why are some of the brightest physicists in the world today saying we live in a hologram?
I don't know.
Listen to this.
I don't want to. I'm not watching a YouTube video, Angel. This is so silly. Angel, I'm not watching a YouTube video.
2 seconds.
Come on.
2 minutes.
Dude, listen, all right, 2 seconds up. Time to end the video.
Listen to
2
this.
seconds.
Listen.
In other words, what we experience as reality.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't care. So if you're telling us that dark energy is supernatural, then explain to us what the supernatural is and how it works.
I'm inclined to think yes, three-dimensional.
Do you know what the Bekenstein bound is?
I've heard you talk about it before. No, just tell me what the supernatural is and how it works.
Do you know what the Bekenstein bound is?
I've heard you describe it before. It's something about like the amount of information cannot fit inside a certain.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Listen. Let me give you a hand.
Oh my God.
Thank you for listening.
Hold on.
Thank you.
What is the supernatural and how does it work?
I am so proud.
What is the supernatural and how does it work?
Well, the supernatural, again, I say again, anything that's outside of your little 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time that you can't explain by natural laws.
So nothing we've ever observed ever.
By definition, supernatural.
That's not supernatural because in the past we knew fewer. Angel, in the past we knew less things than we know.
Outside of the universe?
Please let me just ask this question. In the past we knew less things than we know today, but those facts that we now know they were never supernatural because we know them, and something that is supernatural could never be known.
Oh, okay. So what exists outside of our perception of time? Tell me.
I don't know.
How can you make a claim that the supernatural doesn't exist when you don't know?
Because we have no evidence of it.
How ridiculous that sounds. You saying nothing supernatural exists, but then I'm telling you something that exists outside our perception of time, and you saying
how do you? Okay, hold on.
How do you know that? How do you know it exists?
Right. How do you know?
We do know it exists.
How? If it's outside of the universe in any way we could measure it, how do you know?
Outside of our perception of time,
how do you know? If it's outside of our perception, how do we know it exists?
Hold up. That's the whole reason why time is relative as you move through space. As you move through space, you have one direction of time and another direction of space. As you move through, the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time.
That's time dilation. That's not supernatural.
And time changes based on your reference frame of the observer. And the reason it does that because there's a 4-dimensional universe out there where all of time exists. And you know how we know that? We just discovered by the same principle by a guy named Frank Wilczek, who won a Nobel Peace Prize. He came up with the idea for time. Let me finish, please. He came up with the idea for time crystals. He said because of these These crystalline structures form in space where we got to treat all of time like we treat all of space. And what did we discover? We discovered time crystals in the Google quantum computer. We discovered time crystals in light. We discovered time crystals all over the place now
And
because of the principle that you got to treat all of time as existing like all of space. That's
so,
what
Angel, if
relativity.
that's
None
Have
the
of
you ever
this
read the
is
book
supernatural,
Relativity?
which is what I asked for.
yeah, because
I'm
if that's the case, that
telling
means
you.
it's natural. We've
That's
discovered
why
it.
I'm
We can
saying
explain
If
it.
it's been described by
you,
if it's been described scientifically and discovered by the scientific method, then it's not supernatural.
you guys got to start studying more. I'm just saying. But you know what? I'm just glad. I'm so glad. You know, I could walk away from this glad that you actually listened to the Bekenstein file and understand on. Bravo, Planet Peter.
Oh my god.
That was ridiculous.
I was whatever. I'm not going to say anything. I just when I'm
Yeah.
insulted, we're going to move on.